And we are in live at 9. James Phillips here. And wow, we've got several guests today that I'm not even going to attempt to give you all their names to start with. But I have Jennifer Timmons in studio, and I'm going to let her, you can introduce your guest and then kind of give a snapshot of what we're looking at and talking about.
Who they are and why they're here with me
exactly.
today. Yeah, I can do that for you, James.
Because I'm just, from my glance at you right now, it's like the Muppets are about to take over.
I love that because I do love the Muppets.
And
they are dolls.
Yeah.
They are dolls. And they are works of art. So first of all, thanks for having me on this morning. It's fun. And I know we can get into a little story about how you first found out about my crew here.
Yeah.
So I had the wonderful opportunity when I was living in St. Simons Island, Georgia, to become friends with Millie Huie Wilcox. And Millie, a dear friend of mine, I was at her house one day and helping her around the place and found some tarps out on the porch. And I said, Millie, what's under these tarps? And it turned out to be the dolls. Okay, so the dolls were created by her mother, an artist from Georgia, Mildred Huie, who has an amazing past. And my friend Millie, I don't know a better way to describe her. I read this about her one time. A true Southern belle with Parisian chic and New York street smarts. And that just sums up Millie to me.
She sounds like a tough one.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's absolutely amazing. So anyway, long story short, Millie asked me, well, Jennifer, would you like to take care of the dolls? And I said, Millie, I absolutely would like to take care of the dolls. And then I get them home and unload what kind of looked like a pile of dead bodies in the back of my car.
Yeah, I hope nobody was watching that night.
Oh, wow. What am I going to do with all these dolls? Oh, they were watching because I still had my restaurant in Tifton in South Georgia at the time. So I get back from St. Simons, and I said, hey, guys, can y'all help me unload my car? Well, they're thinking it's going to be produce or seafood or something like that for the restaurant.
Yeah.
Nope. Surprise. It's my crew.
Yeah.
Who has really kind of become a little bit of a family. They go between my storage building and the house as I'm conserving them, I think is the right word, more than refurbishing them, because I want them to stay in the state that they were created to be by Miss Mildred, the artist. And it's just been a lot of fun. So with me today, I have Frank, we call him Frankie B, Franklin Brown Lattimore. I also have Theodore Jeremiah McIntosh. He's known as TJ. So all my friends who are watching, y'all probably recognize TJ. He's going strong. They're both sporting their WJLX gear
They
today,
are.
too.
I like that gear,
Yeah. We dressed up for the occasion. And then we have Nigel Darcy III. We feel like he's British, so that was where the name came from. And honestly, kind of inspired by the hair on that one. I feel like he could have been with the Beatles, in the Beatles.
He could have at least hung out with the Beatles.
I think he likes rock and roll.
Yeah,
no doubt. And then we have Tony. We just call him Big Tony. That's what he goes by. He's got a really great name, but we just call him Tony.
Now, Big Tony is who I first met,
Big
right?
Tony is who you first met.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you want to tell that story, you're welcome to.
I think we should, to let people know how you got here as far as on the show. One morning, I think it was last Wednesday, actually. I'll never forget it.
I believe it was.
But no, one
Probably
morning
won't forget it either, James.
we got here early that morning, and Terrell was the only person here. Everybody knows Terrell Manasco. He works here at the studio.
Yeah.
And station general manager, and he. When I get in, I noticed that there was an SUV outside that I didn't know, which is no big deal. There's a lot of cars that park in this parking lot and stuff. But I didn't have a guest coming in that morning, so I was like, okay, I don't know that person. They're parked close here. And I didn't notice anything else. But I walk in, and Terrell says, like, as he's staring out the window, he says, there's something odd about this guy in this car. And I said, what car? That white SUV? And he was like, yeah, that white SUV. There's a guy. He's sitting in there, and he hadn't moved since I got here. And I said, well, how long have you been here? And he said, 20 minutes or so. And I said, well, he hasn't moved at all? And he said, no, he hasn't moved at all. This is really starting to freak me out. And I said, well, I'm not going out there. Like, I wasn't going to go in case there was something going on. We really thought the person was either asleep in the car or that possibly someone had died in the car. And my wife was here that day. She goes out and looks, and she said, well, I can't tell much and if you've ever been here in the mornings, the sunlight is crazy right at our front.
It is. It is.
And so you can't really see very well. And when they were telling me they didn't know what was going on and this guy hadn't moved, my wife says, I'm locking the doors, call the police. And I was like, I didn't want to call the police because all I was thinking about was, hey, I got a show to do in a few minutes.
I got to be on the air here, guys.
Yeah, and I was like, on goes the show. Like, it doesn't matter if there is a dead body in the parking lot.
The show must go on.
We have to have the show.
Because here at WJLX, we are professionals.
Exactly. And we could always deal with a dead body an hour later. It's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
But so then, I'm texting Jonathan Timmons, and he knows whose vehicle it is. And he knows the person in the car as well. And if he would have just been here that morning, it would have, we would have not even thought anything about it. But.
Well, and I hope that the police do, if they're watching, appreciate this. I had my headlight go out.
Yeah, that's
right?
what it was.
And so I didn't want to drive home after the late show that I was here for on Tuesday night. So I got a ride home.
Yeah.
And we just left my car thinking I'll come back and pick it up in the morning because I didn't want to drive with my headlight out.
Right. And
I was being very safe, just
right.
and not meaning to scare anyone.
In fairness, half our studio knew about the dolls, and half our studio didn't know.
Did not know about the dolls.
But it was the half that didn't know that was here
that morning.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I love this story because that really shows me that the dolls are doing what Miss Mildred wanted the dolls to do.
Yeah.
They were originally called A Doll for All Seasons, but they also were nicknamed guard dolls because when Miss Mildred's husband died, this is why she created these dolls. She didn't really want to be by herself driving around. And so her friends, as their husbands passed away and they became widows and they're driving, they kept the dolls as companions.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
they became known as companion dolls. So, hey, Tony was doing his job.
Right.
He was a guard doll.
Tony was doing a great job.
Tony was doing a great job. So we do have a couple in the background. I don't know if you can
Yeah, I
really
don't
see
know if
them.
you can see them.
It was hard to get everybody in here and in the frame without just
The one in the
overcrowding.
background's it looks like a little
She's
girl in a clown outfit.
Okay, so we have the little one. Now, that's one of the groups known as Lads and Lassies that were created, the younger ones. And then also Southern Belles, which we have one of our Southern Belles here with us today, Mimi Lafayette. She's in full sequin ball gown because, she's a Southern
She's
Belle.
ready to go.
She's ready to go.
Yeah.
I told you, we spiffied up for this morning. We really did. So anyway, I love that story because I do feel like that's what Miss Mildred created the dolls for.
Yeah.
So-
And they are, anybody who's watching on Facebook or on YouTube, you can see them in the background. Just in me talking to you, Tony looks real from here.
Tony does look real. Tony in his Versace and Prada over here in the corner.
Yeah, he stole that shirt from The Rock, I said earlier. But on the day that we saw Tony, he was in the passenger seat of an SUV, and he was kind of leaned over against the doorway.
With his sunglasses
With his
on.
sunglasses on, so we felt like he'd had a long night,
Oh, these pieces of amazing Americana folk art. I'm just so fortunate to have them. And I did an interview,
Right.
if it's time to kind
Yeah.
of lean into that a little bit, with my friend, the artist's daughter. The artist, Miss Mildred, obviously has passed away, but her daughter, Millie Huie Wilcox, who lives in St. Simons Island, Georgia. She and I did an interview talking about this, and I just can't wait for you to hear, her wonderful, beautiful voice, see her beautiful face, and hear just a little bit about these dolls and her story, too. It's a really cool interview, and I hope you enjoy it.
All right. Well, we're going to play the interview now. It's about a 20
I think so. It's
20-minute
20
interview.
minutes, I believe.
So enjoy the interview, and then we'll take a break after the interview and hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come back and talk to Jennifer a little bit more about all the dolls.
The crew.
That's right. All right, we'll be right back. Check out the interview here.
Okay, welcome, WJLX listeners. I am here with
No, Albany
Albany. Okay, Albany. I knew it
is
was
where we
an
live.
A
Right.
town in Georgia. Okay, so she was born in Albany, and
She
then
was really born in Augusta,
okay,
and they moved to Savannah for a short period of time, and then they moved to Albany.
moved to
Uh,
Albany. Okay, all
my
right.
grandmother made the decision to move there. She was told which she wanted to go to Jacksonville or Albany. That's where my grandfather would have a job there.
Okay,
And
okay.
she picked Albany because she didn't think there were alligators there. And so she thought they were. And we have alligators in Albany.
Well, it sounds like a good reason to move somewhere to
It
me.
does. It
I
does.
I remember reading something, and we kind of touched on this. Speaking of jobs, your mom was involved in radio and television, correct?
She was. My sister was crippled at an early age, like 7 or 8, and was going to be. She was in the hospital at the old Piedmont in Atlanta for a
Okay.
long time, and so mother went to work, and that's where she started working. It was WGPC in the radio business, and then WALB in Albany, and
Oh
she
wow.
Mr. Gray owned the radio and television station and would send mother to New York to sign contracts. And mother told him, said, she said, I'll go do this, but let my 2 daughters go with me. So that was the first time I had been to New York. I was like 21 years old. And
That,
we had a good trip.
that is wonderful. So about your mother as the artist, how did she get started? Was she always an artist?
Yeah, she majored in art at Shorter College,
Okay.
and then she always either majored or minored in it, and had some wonderful teachers, including a Mr. Shatov, who was a Russian portrait artist that you might have heard of in the Atlanta area. That's where they made their home. And anyhow, he was very instrumental in a lot of her success in the arts.
That is wonderful. So she was am I right to call her an impressionist painter?
Yes, she was.
Okay, that's what I thought. And her work is beautiful. And I hope everybody will follow some links that we're going to give to check this out. And
Good.
also a sculptor and a, what I call her, a seamstress as well, maybe?
She did. She started making the dolls uh, on the machine in her house.
That is
And she
wonderful.
got me to help with little. I wasn't so talented in that, but I did the faces. I put the makeup on the faces, and I went to New York to get the wigs and all that. And I
Okay.
love doing that.
So I want to get into the dolls, but I think we may need to introduce the dolls. And I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about that because for everybody watching, you probably have noticed that Millie and I both have some friends with us today. And Millie, I'm going to let you introduce them if you don't mind.
Well, the dolls really started after my father passed away, and mother felt there needed to be somebody riding the car that looked like a man. That's how she started making them, was for a woman driving that looked like she had a companion with her for safety reasons.
A
And
companion.
excuse me, go ahead.
No, a companion. That's exactly what these guys were made to
They're
be.
companions. And then the people would send mother, in order to get one, to order one, they would have to give her a background of what she was going to copy, like her husband, what he was, a fisherman or whatever. They gave her a lot of information. So that's how she would make them according to what all he did in his life.
So these dolls really had an identity.
They did. They had a full background, and we had the copies. We gave a resume uh, that went with the doll of all their background. Some of it was made up because mother and I were both very imaginary, and we had them doing trout fishing and every kind of thing, and we told where they fished, etc.
I love it. I actually have a few of the dolls that Millie has been so kind to gift to me to conserve and take care of. And it's really a lot of fun. I thank you, Millie, and I'm so excited to introduce people to this because they really have a storied past. I know that I have one of the. I don't know if you call it a certificate of authenticity, but I have one of the certificates describing one of the dolls that you and I found when we were preserving these guys,
Right.
and it's really interesting. They all have names.
And
They
they have a
all
background.
they all had occupations, like you were saying. So I have with me today Frank Lattimore.
Oh, I love Frank.
I have Frank with me. Frank, who's also wearing his WJLX t-shirt today. And then I have Nigel Darcy III is what we've given the name because we didn't have a certificate on him. So we've been kind of carrying on the tradition and just thinking, what does he look like he would do? So, and who do you have with you today, Millie?
I have Mimi, a parlor doll. And the parlor dolls are different from the ones that you have of the dolls for all seasons. They are more decorative and sit around people's parlors. And they actually used to be parlor dolls. People had them
Okay.
like 100 years ago. And I made them, and then I would go to New York to get the wigs. I did that for all of Mother's dolls. I got the wigs, and I loved getting the wigs because it was like a factory where these two men would sit, and I would order like 20 wigs, and they wanted to ask me what it was for, but they never did. They didn't want to show that they were curious.
You kept them guessing, Millie.
And I have about 20 wigs upstairs. So the next time you come,
Oh,
I'll
I'm
show
excited.
you.
I'm excited. Well, we've kind of tried to dress up Frank's hair a little bit, and Nigel has great hair. We didn't have to do very much to his at all.
Good.
So, yes. Speaking of that, I know that these dolls, because I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about the museum, the former museum there in St. Simons, which was called the Mediterranean House, right?
Right.
Okay, and that's where I first got introduced to the dolls as just someone coming to tour the museum. I had no idea what I was about to find when I walked in the doors. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and that was one of the most interesting things was when Charles Osgood came to meet Mother and do a video of her. And I think you've seen that, but when he came, he was introduced to all the dolls, and then he and Mother he went outside and told me and Mother to stay inside. They wanted to look for a spot where they were going to interview her. And I sat at the piano and played Liebestraum, who's the only piece I know. And that came onto the television show when they did it, and I played Liebestraum. But
That is
they
wonderful.
the spot, and I knew it was a spot. It was where oyster shells had been. It was not where I would have picked it all, but that's what they liked. And
Well,
so that's why they interviewed her.
sorry, I didn't
And
interrupt, but I was going to
Osgood
say
was
Charles Osgood, before you go any further, just for our listeners, if you're not familiar with Charles Osgood, he had a show on CBS, and it was Good Morning Sunday morning.
right.
Good Morning Sunday. It was a
Uh-huh.
morning show on CBS on Sunday mornings. And so that's who Charles Osgood was. And so he is the
Right.
one you're referring to that came and interviewed. So these dolls have had a lot of attention over the years.
They did, especially then because of Mr. Osgood. And then he was also in Albany, Georgia, when Mother and I were down there for a Chamber of Commerce function. And he introduced Mother again in Albany. They all knew her, but he introduced the dolls again down there. So we kept up and we considered him a good friend.
That's wonderful. Now, these dolls weren't just a part of Georgia history. They have literally
She
been all
did
over the
some
world,
Georgia history.
right?
She did some, but most of them were like from people that found out that she was making the dolls. They wanted one like to resemble their husband who had passed away or
Right.
something like that. And so we got complete itineraries and information about whether they trout fished or whatever it was they did. And
Right.
that became part of the doll.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, Millie. So we've kind of introduced the dolls, and oh, I did. There was another interview with Dan Rather at one point, right before we move on to
Right.
Dan Rather,
And
and he kind of gave them a name of all his own that he came up with. Correct?
yeah, he did. And I
Si-
forgot Silent
Silent
Partner.
Partners. Was that it? Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Silent Partners.
And
That's what
I love Silent Partners.
I like that too. It's a great name. So, Millie, how did the museum come about? Was that your home or your mother's
No,
home?
no, it was Mother's house.
It was
And
mother's house. Okay.
after she passed away, I just stayed there and kept thinking I'm going to make this a little museum.
Well, you
And
did a
I
wonderful
enjoyed
job.
doing it. I did it as long as I could.
Well, you did a wonderful job. And then you had your gallery. So, kind of moving into a little bit about your life, because you also have spent a life in the arts.
I have. When I came here, my husband was in the restaurant business, and he called me to come in one night to the hostess hadn't come and to just hostess for a little bit, and I did. And then some friends were there and asked me to sit down with them, and I did. And he came over and he said, "You can't sit down. You're holding the whole thing up." So when I drove home at night by myself, I thought, what if the cook doesn't come in? And so I just had all this thought. So I got him interested in the art business, and he spoke fluent French, fluent since he was 5 years old. He was brought up there. I thought, we're going to France and do a French connection. And so that's what we did. Got French artists. It took us about 2 times going to get started, but we went 50 times to France.
That's wonderful. So, and let's go back a little further in your past, because talking about Europe, that was not your first taste of being in Europe, right?
No,
You got your start as a model.
I was in the fashion, yes, in the fashion business, and for a company called Eleanor Garnett, whose headquarters were in New York and Rome, Italy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we became good, wonderful friends. She was not like a parent, but she watched over everything carefully. I don't think she could run a business today with the laxity that we have in businesses. But she would not, one of her rules was I could not go out with a customer for lunch or dinner. And I did one time for lunch with a couple, and she knew about it when I got back. She already knew. So it was a wonderful experience, and she was a great designer.
That is wonderful. So, speaking about lunch, I love the story of one famous artist that you had lunch with. Could you tell me about that?
With Picasso,
Picasso.
yeah, it was because of a boyfriend really that I had when I was living in Rome, and he was the friend. He was a wonderful artist, but he was also a friend of Picasso's. So they included me in one of their luncheons, and I didn't. He didn't talk very much to me, and I didn't try. I didn't try to talk to him too much. And somebody later said you should have opened up a little more. Said he would have done a portrait of you, but I didn't. So that's one of those things missed, right?
One of those things missed. I love it. I love it. Well, Millie, I know that you've been very involved in your community, and that's near and dear to my heart. And we talk about this, you and I, Millie, that we have so many things in common like that. One of my favorite clips that I've ever seen of you is you riding into, was it Brunswick on the Santa Maria Nina or the
Nina
Pinta?
Pinasanaria, the
Okay,
governor of Georgia. Yes, the governor of
obviously
Georgia.
not the originals, but could you tell us a little bit about that story? Because it's
Yeah,
a
and
great
that was.
story.
I'm glad that you mentioned it. That's one of the biggest, most wonderful things that ever happened to me. Governor Zell Miller asked me through our chamber of commerce. I was president then, and he said that we had been the only area that had continued trying to get the Nina Pinta Santa Maria to come to our docks.
Okay,
That Savannah had given up and someone else, and he gave it to us, and that was how I came to be in that position.
that
And
is
it was
wonderful.
wonderful bringing the ships in and having the event there, and then later going to New York where they had an event with everybody where the ships had been to. And it was a marvelous event for me.
Oh wow, that is wonderful. That's wonderful. And now tell us about your life in St. Simon's now, and and some of the things that make you love where you live.
Well, I like my house because it's an old house that was built in 1925, and my late husband and I have never changed too much about the outside of it at all. We changed a few things on the inside, but I just like the feeling of it, and I like my vista is beautiful, and you can't get a vista like that now. But aside from that, I feel at home here.
Well, and I have been so fortunate being your friend to be in that home and see all the amazing artwork that you have there. Most of
Thank you.
it uh, came from your collection, or
Yeah, well, I have a lot of mother's paintings
okay,
that I prize, and I keep some of them hidden because people want them, and so if they see them, it makes it worse because I know they'll sell them. And so, but I have other things that I love. You're right, in my house of the paintings. I know every artist. Met them personally, and so it's a home. It's a home to me.
wow, that is wonderful. Millie, about your mom's art. So you do still have some artwork that is hers that is for sale. Can you tell me a little bit
I
about that?
don't have too much for sale right now. I am
Okay.
sure that I'm gonna sell some things.
Uh-huh.
I haven't put a date on it yet.
I got you.
Now, there's a place, a museum in the Morris Museum in Augusta, has about 40 of her paintings, 'cause mother was born there, so that they got them from me. Uh, I can't remember when. They've had them about 10 years, I think. And that's one place that has them. And then
Okay.
a couple of other museums of where she went to college. And I'm just trying to think.
Yeah. Well, if you ever run across any of the art, to my listeners out there, it's amazing. And it truly embodies the spirit of St. Simon's Island, Georgia. And I think just this wonderful person. And back to the dolls, they are made of cotton. Okay. So, oh, Frank's got his
Right.
hand on the microphone. I didn't realize that. So Frank's getting into the show here with us. But the dolls are made out of cotton. Now, is it a special kind of cotton, Millie?
No, it's not. But
Okay.
mother just used to order all this fabric and material to make these dolls, and it's just plain cotton. It comes in a big bundle.
Okay.
And then we open and pull it apart, and then sometimes we have the legs done and we'll stuff it in there, and or we used to have a lot of things already made up, parts of the dolls,
Okay.
so that we could start right immediately to have them shape some form.
Well, they're definitely interesting and definitely fun to have around, no doubt.
They are characters.
They are definitely characters. They are characters.
I,
So,
I took one that mother had made for a couple in North Georgia. I had delivered. She passed by me. She came by in her car with two dolls, and she said, "You know, CBS or somebody's coming on Monday to pick up the dolls. Said you need to make one by then." And I thought, "Mother," I said, "There's no way I can." She said, "Yes, you can." So my husband said, "Go to Singer Sewing Machine and get a machine first of all." And see what they'll teach you. So I did. I made that doll and I was ready for these people to pick it up. But that's just one of the little things that have happened over the
well,
years.
talking about these dolls and the lives that they've lived and had, the experiences. I remember you telling me one time about delivering one of the dolls you yourself personally delivered. And
That's the one I was trying to tell you the story. The people were
yes,
so thrilled and ready to get the doll that when I delivered it to them, I had to deliver it to a Holiday Inn, is where we were going to meet. And I called the Holiday Inn to tell them I was bringing this life-size doll there. And did they mind if we meet, just to be sure, because they caused quite a sensation.
they can.
And they said they'd love to see it. So that's where we met. And they came and they loved that doll and treated him like a person right away and wanted to have me come to their house to have a glass of champagne with Charlie and them, and I did. And it was amazing. I saw it firsthand of how somebody really adopted the doll.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember going into the museum and seeing, and I didn't warn you about this question because it was one that just popped up when I was going through some of my photos of the museum, the Princess Diana doll.
yes, and
Do you
she was
recall her?
beautiful.
Okay,
No, and I'm glad you mentioned that. The museum has that doll, I think, and I want to see if they're not showing. I'd like to get it back.
that was a beautiful
If
doll.
they're not showing it. It was a beautiful doll. That was the prettiest doll we'd ever made.
I remember that, and I do have a have a photo. I'm going to send that to you, Millie. Okay.
My goodness, that's great.
Yes, yes. So I do. I'll expect to get the photo from me. All right, Millie, is there anything else you'd like to talk to us
Well,
about today? Because
we
I
did
could listen to your stories all day.
good. Well, we sent one doll to Japan to a prince something because I remember my husband was so impressed that we were sending something to a prince in Japan, and it was one of mother's dolls that they had picked out
That is
and he wanted, so he got it. I
that's
can't remember
amazing.
his name. I should, but I can't remember it at the moment.
Well, we just leave our listeners with a little something to Google search, right? And look
Absolutely.
into
And
that.
I've just talked with a friend of yours who's here with me,
Nicole.
Nicole, and she's gonna help me. We gonna get one. I want to get one of the dolls ready to ride in the car with me again.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, Thursday morning when we are on the show, because we're recording this for the show, right? There will be dolls in the studio with us. So you can watch on our Facebook Live, Millie, and
Good.
see how they look, check them out, and then you and I will make plans for me to come for a visit because I'm long overdue. And riding with me will be the doll that is going to keep Millie company.
Oh, I'm so happy. I don't know what to do. I
Me
thought I
too.
want to get back. I have this feeling that I want to get back into this with you.
I'm quite excited, Millie.
Yeah.
That is definitely something that's been going on in my brain too.
Uh, your friend Nicole has disappeared for a minute, but I wanted to just tell you she helps me a lot with with mother's things, her cards, and all her paintings and all of that. She helps me display them and take it to people who like mother's work a lot,
Well,
and like the drugstore and other places. Where else, Nicole?
hi,
We
Nicole.
Hi there. We sell them at the Welcome Center here on St. Simon's. We sell them at the St. Simon's Drug Store, which is iconic here on the island.
Right.
We sell them at the Epworth Methodist Center. And, we just continue to distribute them wherever we can. And we get orders. We have a lot of art displayed at the Brunswick Airport. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have a big display at the Brunswick Airport that I could and I change it about every 3 weeks, and I love having. I've had it for years. I've had it for years, and I always try to keep it looking nice.
And fresh. That is wonderful.
Fresh.
That's so great to know that if somebody is interested in seeing some of these, that's places that, and I'm sure with online shopping being what it is now, Nicole, I'm guessing they could maybe see some of this online somewhere. Is that
Yeah,
something they
I'm
could do?
trying to get into that a little more. I'm not so good at that. You are, and I think Nicole might be. So I'd like to get into that a little more. You've stimulated my mind and being to go back into this business. Okay.
Well, Millie, that is such a compliment and thank you because you have definitely enriched my life by sharing these dolls, the parlor dolls, the doll for all seasons, and the Dan Rather name for them, Silent Partners.
May I just show you this one book?
Please.
See, this is the book on Mother, and it has all the plantations of St. Simon's on it.
Oh,
And
wow.
a friend of my brother's produced it. So I'd love you to have one sometime when you're down here.
Yes, absolutely,
This
Millie.
has the world and art of Mildred Huie.
That is wonderful. Now, speaking of, and then we'll start to wrap it up. I know there was a magazine cover. Do you happen to have that with you today of your mom?
Magazine cover.
Was it Life in the Golden Isles, maybe?
This is,
the one?
oh, okay, I don't
Oh,
have.
that's the book. Okay, okay. I wasn't sure if you were going to have that today or not, but she was featured on a lot of things.
Here it is. I've
Oh,
got
you
it.
do have it? Oh,
I
wonderful.
have it right here at the top for you.
Oh, I love it. And
See
there
that?
she is.
And that shows a lot of her character. This was fishing out at my dock.
That is beautiful. Wonderful. And what a life. I love that I'm seeing the word life because I think that embodies you and your mother.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Millie. Thank you so much for doing this with us. I think my producer's telling me it's time to wrap it up a little here. But Millie, I look so forward to talking with you soon and
Good.
hearing your feedback from our interview and see what you think about all the dolls. And we'll make plans for me to
And
ride down with
I
one of
have a
them.
lot to tell you that I haven't told you
Oh, I know. We
about
can
some
do
other
this again.
what they call secrets of my life. Okay.
Oh,
And
Millie, we may have
it'll be-
another show.
I'll tell it too.
I love it. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
And we're back here on Live at 9. James Phillips and Jennifer Timmons in. And wow, what an interview, Jennifer. I'm glad that I let you take over the show today, actually.
Well, thanks, James. I appreciate you having us here, me and my crew, and allowing Miss Millie to tell her story. What an interesting person she is, and thanks everyone for listening. It's really fun. You know, it brings some whimsy, and it brings an element of fun into our lives. And I know that we can all get caught up in chaos and stress and fretting over all kinds of things. So why not bring a little fun to life?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And it brought a little fun to my life last week. At least Tony did.
Hey, Tony was just doing his job, right?
And then yesterday, when I walked in yesterday afternoon, there were 3 or 4 of the guys.
I believe Frank and Nigel had stayed. Yeah,
They were hanging out in the back in the dark too. They like to hang out in the dark. It seems.
Well, they're guard dolls. I mean, hey, they're here to be. They're just here to be companions and to just keep everybody on their toes.
Well, I'm so glad that we could share Miss Millie's story and be able to give the dolls an audience. I've heard a little bit about them since last week, and it's just really cool. I like the background, what the dolls are all about. I think it's just a really cool thing.
Yeah, thank you. Well, these dolls I feel like have been with me for quite some time now. I first saw them at the museum, which Miss Millie mentioned, and I have pictures on my phone still.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. I was sitting here trying to think when I first met the dolls. It was when I first moved to St. Simon, so I'm going to guess maybe 2007 as far back as.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love to go there. I always sent people there. In fact, one thing that I'm hoping is to find a place where the dolls can be on exhibit and other people can hear the story about the 2 Mildreds, Miss Mildred Huie and then Miss Millie, her daughter, and all the dolls and just how interesting it is.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got a few places around here where the dolls could be.
I know this is a Georgia artist, but I think it's just still a cool story.
Well,
and hey,
they're
they
living
are
here.
Alabama residents now,
Yeah, I was
right
gonna say,
here in Walker County.
They live in Walker County.
Yes, they do.
I was just talking earlier about the voter turnout being bad. I hope the dolls can improve that maybe.
I don't know if we can get them a voting card or not, but...
Well, anything else you want to add?
I think that we've pretty much covered everything. Like I said, Millie kind of touched on where are we going with the dolls next. They're not for sale, but I do hope that they can be shared with people. And the story, it's just a really heartwarming Americana art story.
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
great.
I'd love to see that happening.
And Millie, I could not believe that she's 95 years old from watching the video and hearing her voice. She's so
wonderful.
full of life, and
she is, and she is just like that, and a mover and a shaker, and very involved in her community, which is near and dear to my heart.
Right.
Millie and I think, connect on so many levels with those kind of things, and the dolls. I mean, I guess it takes a special person to be that sort of caretaker.
Yeah.
And James, I know you asked me if I kept them out in the house. TJ has been with me pretty much since I got him. He was the first doll that I started working on to bring him back because there were some issues with having been outside for so long, and I really got to research that, and it's not anything that I had prior knowledge about, but it's really interesting to get into the conservation of works of art and trying to preserve them for generations hopefully to come.
Well, and I'm honestly not near as uneasy as I thought I would be today because I've
They're
watched
really friendly.
I've watched Annabelle too many times. I've seen all these movies about crazy dolls, but these guys are well behaved.
They're very well behaved, and then, like I said, they did dress up for today for the occasion, and we try to keep everybody looking sharp,
right?
As my traveling companions.
And while you stepped out of the studio a minute ago during the interview, I took a selfie with the guys in the background, so I'll post that in a little while.
Please do, yes.
Well, all right. Well, I think that's it for today. Tomorrow, I've got a let me get his name to make sure I have it right. Sean Stinson is going to be in tomorrow. He's a youth pastor, if I'm not mistaken, at Northside Baptist Church, and he's leading up the Fall Fest that is going on this weekend in downtown Jasper. And he also does some Instagram videos and TikTok stuff that are pretty funny. So I think he'll be a cool guest tomorrow.
Yeah, I love the morning show, and thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for listening to WJLX. Woody will be coming in next. Don't forget our coaches show this afternoon or this evening from Crawfish Warehouse. Go to Crawfish Warehouse, get some great food, and hang out with us. Like, you don't get to just hang out with the radio station all the time. So come hang out with us. I bet Jennifer will be there. She's usually
I will be there. Oh, I might be here tonight.
She may be. Oh, yeah, we got a game of the week tonight, too. And I need to remind everybody about that. 88.5. It'll be Curry traveling to Fultondale, and it's a huge playoff implication game on a Thursday night. So we're going to have Brian and Zach covering that one, and Miss Jennifer will be here in studio producing it for
Go Yellow Jackets.
Yep, that's right. Go Yellow Jackets tonight. All right. Well, that's it for Thursday on Live at 9. Until tomorrow, Be kind and love, and we'll see you on Friday morning on Live at 9 here on WJLA.